Welcome back. So we're going to go into AWS IAM for machine learning workloads. Before we get started, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with anyone you know taking the AWS Machine Learning exam. So identity and access management, or IAM. This controls identity and permissions management across all AWS services, including machine learning platforms like SageMaker, Glue, Comprehend, and EC2 for training jobs. IAM defines who can access which resources and how they can use them. Users represent individual people or services interacting with AWS. Groups collect users sharing common permissions. Policies are JSON documents defining allowed or denied actions on AWS resources. Roles are identities assumable by AWS services like EC2 or SageMaker for performing tasks securely without long-lived credentials. MFA as a second layer of authentication. So IAM in machine learning workflows. All right. So SageMaker training jobs use IAM roles accessing S3 buckets, ECR container images, or invoking Lambda functions. Glue jobs need IAM permissions reading and writing from data lakes. Comprehend, recognition, translate, and other managed AWS AI services check IAM policies, verifying application authorization. IAM policies enforce least privilege across critical sensitive information like PII, model artifacts, or training data sets. SageMaker requires execution roles for studio, training jobs, and endpoints. Glue would need job roles with read-write S3 permissions. Comprehend would require policies allowing NLP text analysis. S3 would need policies granting model and data access. CloudWatch would require permissions emitting metrics and logs from machine learning jobs. So how do you create users and groups? Okay, so did I move? Oh, I went too far. Okay. No, that's okay. All right. So, all right. In the console, go pure type IAM, right? So here you can go ahead, click user, create ML admin, right? Did I miss anything? Provide to the console. Oops. All right. Specify as user and identity center. No. Oh, God, I don't want to do that. Okay. Let's just do basic. All right. And then you can add a user to a group. So let's create a group. ML admin group. Create user group. So that's the group name. Select ML admin. No password required. Be in that group. And we could have added permissions, but this is just very quickly. All right. So basically, you do this so you can avoid using the root account. You create IAM users with admin privileges for day-to-day tasks, and you can follow security best practices to remove responsibility from the root account and allow a level of abstraction. Okay. All right. IAM policies. Okay. So IAM policies are JSON documents defining effect as allow or deny. Actions like S3 get object or SageMaker create training job. Or you can do resources as ARNs or asterisks for all of the items within that resources. You can also have options like conditions that restrict certain things like IP addresses. All right, let's see if we can have, okay, so this would be an example of, well, that's a service control policy, which is a JSON, and it is an IAM policy. Okay, so this is a permissions boundary, which is close. I mean, these are all basically, okay, so this is a good identity-based policy for a developer. This would be a good one, right? So this would allow CloudFormation, CloudWatch, EC2, S3, SQS, CloudWatch logs, boom, and the resources, all, okay? So that's a good one, all right? MFA. So when you go into the console, you can go to MFA, choose a user or access the root user, click. Let's go over here and just show you. All right. Why am I not seeing it? Let's see. MFA. Users, user group, roles, policies, okay. Account settings? No. Root access management? No. Access analyzer? Why am I not seeing it? Okay, root has MFA. Okay, so I already have MFA enabled. That's good. Oh gosh. So let's go for the user. ML admin, and then we go to, where is it? We don't have any permissions on this. Security, hey, there we go. Okay, it's under security credentials and then MFA, right? And we can assign a device, assign this, passcode, authenticator app, or a token. All right. And so you always want to use MFA for root accounts, privileged accounts, and adds a layer of authentication to protect your accounts. I'm going to click cancel. Go back. All right. Go in here. All right. Service roles. So let's see. All right. So roles are assumed by AWS services rather than people. To create an EC2 that can access an S3, you go into the IAM console. All right. Let's go in IAM. Let's go roles. Let's create a role. All right. So what you want to do is select the AWS service that you want to use, be EC2. All right. And then here's the service, EC2. And there's a bunch of different types, right? We're going to do some very basic stuff. So we want to choose a permissions policy for S3. All right. So you have S3 full access, which is one, and then S3 read-only access, which is another, right? Read-only access will let you view what's in the bucket. Full access will let you view what's in the bucket, change the bucket, remove items. You want to limit that scope. All right. Or you can actually go and adjust the policies individually. All right. So this is all resources. And this S3 with the star, that's all S3 policies. You can make that more specific to list or to read and create, but not delete. There's a bunch of different things. You attach this to EC2s, this role. When you're creating the EC2 via an instance profile, you enable the instance to access the S3 with the credentials and the permissions allowed without having to embed and credentials within it. All right. We'll cancel that. All right. Costs. Yeah. All right. Costs. Okay. So IAM itself is free. You pay only for the AWS services accessed using IAM credentials. MFA via Authy or Google Authenticator, that's also free. A physical MFA device like a YubiKey, Gemalto token, they cost money, but that's usually through a third-party vendor, like your company, right? All right. Let's go into SageMaker. Okay. So SageMaker has different access patterns. So when you enable SageMaker jobs to access datasets in S3, you do this by creating an IAM role with SageMaker as a trusted entity and Amazon S3 read-only access, the policy attached to it. And you can use that role in SageMaker notebooks or training jobs, and you can use it to access the data via the studio by creating S3 clients and downloading files to local paths. All right, so that's how you put it into effect. So what's some best practices? All right, one, avoid the root user for daily tasks. Use IAM users instead. Two, enable MFA for all accounts, right? Especially the admin ones. Three, use groups to simplify permissions management. You can add those policies to the accounts, or excuse me, to the users in those groups because the group has those policies. Three, follow the least privilege principles. Don't attach administrator access unless absolutely necessary. Four, create roles for services like SageMaker, Glue, and Lambda. And five, test the permissions by detaching and reattaching policies to validate the access. So for the exam, remember a couple of things. When there's questions about securing machine learning workloads, granting SageMaker access to S3, implementing least privilege access for data scientists or whoever, understanding the IAM users, groups, roles, and policies that demonstrate practical knowledge of AWS security architecture, IAM is going to be your answer. So thank you for joining. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with anyone you know taking the AWS Machine Learning Associate exam. Thank you. Have a good day.